The Centura Galactic Academy sat at the center of a wide valley on the planet Halros 5. It was one of the biggest learning centers in the galaxy, and young students from many different species came here to train. They came to study science, battle skills, teamwork, and many things needed for life in the larger universe. The academy was bright, organized, and full of noise every morning. Voices from dozens of species mixed together as students moved between classes. Some had wings, some had tails, some had glowing eyes, and some were not shaped like humans at all. But all of them gathered here to learn side by side. Among all these students walked a human girl named Lily Ward. She was small, quiet, and always kept her eyes low. She wore the same simple academy uniform as everyone else, but she somehow looked even smaller inside it. She rarely spoke unless someone asked her a direct question. She arrived to class early and sat in the back, keeping her notebook opened even before the instructor entered. She never laughed loudly, never argued, and never raised her hand to answer anything. Because of this, many students believed she was shy, weak, and maybe even a little slow. Humans were not rare at the academy, but they were not known for great physical or mental power. Many species had stronger bodies, faster minds, or sharper senses. Humans were often seen as soft and too emotional, and Lily looked like the softest one of all. On the first day of the new term, many students noticed her right away, not because she did anything special, but because she did nothing special at all. While groups talked loudly, introduced themselves, and showed their skills, Lily simply stood near a wall with her bag on one shoulder. She listened to the others, nodded politely, but never joined in. Some students watched her out of curiosity. Others laughed quietly, guessing she would be the weakest in the class. One tall student from the Varken race whispered to his friend that she looked like she would cry if someone spoke too loudly near her. His friend agreed and said he hoped she was not placed on his team for training. Inside the academy, instructors tried to treat all students fairly. But even they had thoughts they did not speak out loud. Professor Felix, a wise but strict alien with silver scales and long dark eyes, watched Lily from the front of the room. He had taught many humans before, and most had average skills. From what he saw so far, Lily seemed even less prepared than most. She held her pen in a careful, gentle way. She wrote slowly, as if she was unsure of every word. When he asked the class simple questions, Lily avoided eye contact. She lowered her head and pretended to read her notes. Felix judged her quietly, thinking she would not stand out in any area. He did not dislike her, but he did not expect anything special from her either. However, there was something about Lily that people did not notice. She watched everything around her more carefully than anyone else. She remembered every detail in the room, every sound, every movement. She knew which students argued the most, which ones followed orders well, and which ones bragged about skills they did not really have. She watched the layout of each classroom and the position of every exit door. She never drew attention, but her eyes followed everything. She never spoke about it, and no one asked. So her quiet nature only made others believe she was weak. During the morning break, Lily sat alone at a small table outside. A soft breeze passed by, carrying the smell of strange flowers from the academy garden. Other students walked by her without stopping. Some greeted her politely, but most did not bother. A group of loud students from the Drava species passed by and laughed when they saw her sitting alone. One of them said she looked like a scared child lost in a big world. Lily heard the words but did not react. She simply kept eating her plain meal with slow, small bites. Her calmness made them laugh even more as they walked away. In truth, Lily did not dislike anyone. She did not mind sitting alone. She simply preferred peace and quiet. She did not feel the need to prove anything to anyone. She only wanted to learn, stay unnoticed, and do her best in every task. But the academy was not a peaceful place. Every student was here to compete, rise, and prove their worth. And students who stayed quiet for too long usually became easy targets for judgment. By the end of the first day, the entire class already had an idea of who Lily was. They believed she was weak, shy, slow, and not someone who would ever stand out. Professor Felix made a note in his tablet. Human student Lily Ward, quiet, low confidence. We'll need extra support. He closed the tablet with a sigh. The galaxy was full of strong and powerful beings. In his mind, Lily was not one of them. But the academy was a place where first impressions were often wrong. And Lily Ward was much more than she appeared. No one knew it yet, but the quiet girl sitting in the back of the class would soon change everything. Lily Ward returned to class the next day, moving quietly through the wide hallways of the Centura Galactic Academy. The halls were crowded with students from many species, some with long tails, some with extra limbs, and some with bright, glowing eyes. The humans were still unusual to many of them, and Lily, being so small and quiet, seemed easy to ignore. She carried her notebook and pen carefully, as if they were precious, and moved past groups talking loudly without joining them. In the classroom, Professor Felix started the day's exercises. Today was a practical simulation. Students were to navigate a small obstacle course designed to test reflexes and awareness. Many students jumped, ran, and shouted instructions to each other. Lily, as usual, remained calm. She stepped onto the course with careful, measured movements, observing each corner, each wall, and each hazard. While others rushed, she moved slowly but purposefully, her eyes scanning everything. Her team members at first noticed her quietness as a problem. "Come on, Ward, we need speed," one student said. A tall Dravas boy with red eyes and spiked armor. "You move too slow. You're going to slow us down." Lily looked up briefly, nodded, and continued moving at her pace. She did not argue. She simply observed. The others rushed ahead, some tripping over small obstacles, some bumping into each other, some falling behind. When a sudden mechanical hazard appeared, a swinging door that could knock someone off balance, the others panicked. They ran without thinking and collided with the moving door. Lily, however, paused just long enough to judge the timing. She moved gracefully, stepping through the gap at the perfect moment, barely brushing the swinging metal. The other students stared in surprise. They had not expected such control and precision from someone they thought was slow and weak. During the exercise, Lily noticed patterns others missed. The swinging doors moved in a regular rhythm, the pressure plates triggered traps with a small delay, and the security drones moved along predictable paths. She did not need to rush. She only needed to wait for the right moments. Slowly, her team members realized that following her careful movements actually kept them safe. Her calm eyes, scanning everything, prevented mistakes they could not even see coming. After the simulation, some students whispered to each other. "Did you see that? She didn't run, but she avoided all the traps perfectly." Another student frowned. "Yeah, but she's still so quiet. It's hard to tell what she's thinking." Lily sat quietly at the back of the classroom when they returned, as if nothing had happened. Professor Felix, however, made a note. He had seen humans like her before. Quiet, unassuming, underestimated, but something about Lily felt different. She moved like someone who understood the danger before it arrived. That was unusual for her age, even among humans. Later, during a break, Lily wandered near the academy garden. Some students approached her, curious about her calmness. "You don't talk much," one vexen boy said. "Aren't you nervous here? It's all competition." Lily looked up, blinking slowly. "I just watch," she said softly. "Watching helps me learn. If I rush, I might miss something." The boy tilted his head. He had not expected a human to answer in such a thoughtful way. Some students shrugged and left. Others were puzzled. Her quiet words carried a weight they did not understand. Professor Felix observed her again from the classroom window. He saw her standing calmly, taking note of the environment, memorizing paths and obstacles, noting patterns that other students ignored. He thought about the way she moved earlier in the simulation, how she seemed to predict each hazard, each trap, each hazard in the obstacle course. It was not just skill. It was instinct combined with intelligence. And yet, she hid it behind a calm, quiet demeanor. By the end of the day, Lily had shown small but undeniable signs that she was different from the other students. She never boasted, never drew attention, and never argued. but every action she took was careful, precise, and intelligent. No one could explain how someone so quiet and seemingly unremarkable could move with such awareness. Many students still underestimated her, and some laughed at her quietness. But a few watched in secret, wondering if they had misjudged her. When Lily left the classroom for the evening, the academy was full of chatter. Most students rushed to training rooms or dorms. Some paused, noticing the human girl walking alone, calm, and seemingly lost in thought. No one understood that while she appeared ordinary, she was quietly studying the world, understanding dangers, and learning patterns they could not even see. Professor Felix made one final note in his tablet. Lily Ward, quiet, possibly more capable than she seems. Must observe closely. And so Lily's first week continued. Each day she remained quiet, calm, and unassuming. Yet, each day, small actions hinted at a hidden skill, a strength waiting to be revealed. She did not try to impress anyone, and no one expected her to. But the truth was slowly emerging. Lily Ward was not an ordinary human. She was someone who could see more, react faster, and think differently than anyone else in the class. And soon, the academy would discover that even quiet humans could possess strength far beyond what anyone imagined. The next morning, Lily Ward entered the academy's training hall, her small frame almost lost among the towering alien students. Today, the instructors had set up a surprise exercise. No one knew the details, and that made everyone nervous. The room was filled with walls, platforms, and moving obstacles designed to confuse even the most skilled students. A holographic map flickered in the center, showing multiple targets and escape routes, but it was incomplete. The exercise was meant to test quick thinking under pressure. Lily's team included 3 students she had not worked with before. One was a Borvian boy named Track, strong and loud, who often rushed ahead without thinking. Another was a small, nervous Vexen girl named Nira, who froze easily in tense moments. The third was a Mandari scout called Zin, with keen senses but stubbornness that often prevented him from listening to others. At first, her teammates were skeptical. They assumed Lily's quietness meant she would not contribute much. The instructor blew a whistle, signaling the start. Chaos erupted immediately. Track charged forward, swinging a staff wildly, knocking over a platform and triggering several traps. Nira froze as drones hovered nearby, unsure of which path to take. Zin tried to scout ahead but ignored the warnings from others and got trapped in a falling net. Lily, however, stayed calm. She stepped lightly over debris, scanned the entire room, and memorized each moving part, each timing pattern, and each weak spot in the traps. When she noticed a drone moving along a predictable path toward Nira, she called out softly, "Step back, wait 2 seconds, then move left." Nira followed her instructions and avoided the trap. Track, annoyed that Lily had not shouted or run ahead with him, hesitated. Lily touched his arm lightly and pointed to a safe path. He grumbled but followed. Zin, sensing someone else paying attention, adjusted his path as Lily suggested. Slowly, the team began moving together, guided by Lily's calm directions. Halfway through the course, a new obstacle appeared. A mechanical arm swung across the platform, faster than anyone had anticipated. Track jumped and hit the ceiling, falling awkwardly. Nira froze again. Zin hesitated, unsure of the timing. Lily, however, calculated the movement in her mind. She stepped forward, timed her jump perfectly, and landed safely on the other side. Then she extended her hand to Nira, counting the seconds aloud. 1, 2, 3 now. Nira jumped and landed beside her. Even Track, surprised, followed without injury. The rest of the exercise unfolded in a similar way. Lily anticipated dangers, instructed her teammates quietly, and made the impossible look easy. By the time the team reached the final platform, the instructors were watching closely. Lily's calm demeanor had kept the group alive and moving, while other teams had suffered collisions, traps, and errors. The holographic targets were still visible, but the route to them was tricky. Lily studied the paths, noticing that a straight run was impossible. She whispered her plan. Nira would distract one set of moving barriers, Track would push a lever to redirect a swinging arm, Zin would cover the opposite side, and she would grab the target and lead the team out. Everyone followed without question. The final moments were tense. The target hovered above a rotating platform surrounded by spinning obstacles. Lily timed her moves carefully, stepped onto the platform, grabbed the target, and directed her team to move as she did. The spinning obstacles barely grazed them, and all three teammates made it safely back to the starting point. The instructors were silent for a moment, then murmurs of approval spread. Lily looked at her team, giving a small, uncertain smile. She did not celebrate loudly. She did not brag. But her teammates looked at her differently now. Track, usually loud and impatient, nodded respectfully. Nira, usually anxious, smiled for the first time during exercises. Zin gave a small grunt of approval. Even the other teams, watching from above, whispered among themselves. Something about this quiet human girl was not ordinary. After the exercise, the students returned to the main hall. Whispers of Lily's skill spread quietly. Some were confused, others curious. Many had underestimated her, assuming that quietness meant weakness. The instructors, however, were certain of something new. Lily Ward had a gift. She could see more than others, think faster, and remain calm when everyone else panicked. The galaxy had seen humans be brave, strong, and clever, but this quiet one was different. She did not need to shout or show off. Her strength revealed itself naturally in action. Professor Felix made a note in his tablet once again. Lily Ward, quiet, calm, underestimated, displays intelligence, composure, and strategic thinking far beyond peers. Must monitor further. The thought of what this human could do if pushed harder intrigued him. Perhaps there was more to Lily than even he realized. The day ended with Lily returning to her small dorm room, placing her notebook carefully on the desk. She reflected quietly on the exercise. Nothing she had done was for attention. She simply observed, waited, and acted. That was how she had learned best. Her strength was not in rushing or showing off. It was in patience, calculation, and precision. As she prepared for sleep, a small smile crossed her face. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, and she would face them, quietly but surely, ready to show strength in her own way. The following day, Lily Ward entered the academy courtyard, where instructors had set up her first real test outside the controlled training hall. The objective was clear: navigate a series of obstacles, reach the observation tower, and retrieve a small data module. But this was no ordinary test. The instructors had added unpredictable elements, including moving platforms, shifting walls, and roaming mechanical drones designed to test both courage and creativity. Lily's new team included Jaren, a tall and confident human boy who often overestimated his abilities. Kiko, a small, quick alien who excelled at climbing but panicked under pressure. And Vela, a quiet but stubborn Martian with incredible strength but limited tactical thinking. The team looked at Lily, expecting her to give loud instructions or take charge immediately. But Lily simply smiled faintly and scanned the environment. The whistle blew, and chaos erupted. Jaren rushed forward, knocking into a moving barrier and causing it to swing wildly, nearly hitting Kiko. Kiko froze, unsure where to move next. Vela pushed ahead, swinging her arms and disturbing a mechanical drone that began tracking them. Lily, however, stayed calm. She observed the patterns of movement, the timing of each obstacle, and the best path forward. "Wait," she said softly. "Step back. Watch the pattern for one rotation. Then move together." Her voice was quiet but confident. Her teammates hesitated, but they trusted her. Slowly, they followed her lead. When a swinging barrier came, Lily guided Jaren through the opening, then Kiko, then Vela. Each step was deliberate, each movement precise. They avoided the hazards that had trapped other students in seconds. Halfway through, a large drone swooped in, scanning for movement. Kiko froze again. Lily whispered, "Move slowly to the left wall. Hug the shadows. Don't breathe too loud." They followed, slipping past the drone without detection. Jaren glanced at her in surprise. "How did you see that?" Lily just shrugged. "I'm paying attention." The final obstacle was a high platform leading to the observation tower. The ladder had moving rungs that rotated unexpectedly. Vela tried to climb first, lost her grip, and nearly fell. Lily moved next, timing each handhold perfectly, and reached the top without hesitation. She extended a hand to Vela, counting slowly, 1, 2, 3, now. Vela followed safely. Jaren climbed last, his confidence shaken but intact. Together, they reached the observation tower, retrieved the data module, and returned to the starting point. The instructors were silent for a moment, then began clapping. The other students watched in awe. Lily's calm strategy had saved her team from disaster, guided them past every trap, and completed the mission faster than anyone expected. She did not celebrate or boast. She quietly placed the module on the table and stepped back. Her teammates looked at her differently now. Jaren nodded with respect. Kiko smiled, relieved. Vela gave a small, approving grunt. Even the instructors whispered among themselves. Lily Ward, the quiet human girl, had shown remarkable leadership and tactical skill without raising her voice or drawing attention to herself. She had proved that strength was not always loud. Sometimes it was quiet, careful, and unseen until needed. As the team left the tower, Lily reflected on the exercise. She had not acted to show off. She had acted because it was the right thing to do. Her mind worked in patterns, her calmness a tool that guided others. She knew the academy would throw more challenges at her, each harder than the last. But she also knew her strength was real, and it did not require recognition. It simply required patience, observation, and action when it counted. That night, Lily returned to her small dorm room, tired but satisfied. She placed her notebook on her desk and made a small note. Quiet strength works best when unnoticed. She smiled faintly and lay down, ready for the next day, ready for whatever challenge the academy would send. She was not just a student. She was someone who could quietly change outcomes, someone who could lead without noise, and someone who would prove her strength in her own way. The next morning, Lily entered the academy training hall for another challenge. This time, the instructors had created a simulated urban environment, complete with narrow streets, hidden passages, and small buildings. The goal was to retrieve intelligence modules scattered throughout the area while avoiding detection by automated sentries and other student teams. Her new team was mixed: Liam, a confident but reckless human boy; Zara, a cautious alien girl with excellent observation skills; and Rook, a strong but slow Martian. They looked at Lily, expecting her to take charge. Lily smiled faintly, observing the layout and the positions of the sentries. The exercise began. Liam charged ahead recklessly, triggering alarms. Zara froze, unsure of where to go, and Rook tried to follow without understanding the patterns. Lily stayed calm. She pointed to a narrow alley. "Follow me slowly. Watch the drone's movement. Don't rush." Using careful timing, she led the team along hidden paths, ducking behind walls and using shadows for cover. When they approached a module on a rooftop, she figured out a safe way to climb without alerting nearby sentries. Rook followed, then Zara, then Liam, whose reckless energy had to be tempered. Lily retrieved the module and handed it down carefully. One by one, she guided her team to other modules, often calculating the best paths without speaking much. Her quiet guidance turned a chaotic group into an effective unit. Other teams watched in amazement as Lily's calm actions seemed to influence her teammates' confidence. By the end of the exercise, her team had collected the most modules and avoided any serious mistakes. The instructors nodded approvingly. They whispered among themselves, recognizing that Lily's quiet, thoughtful approach was producing results far beyond what her rank or reputation suggested. Lily did not seek praise. She simply observed, acted, and ensured her team succeeded. Walking back to her dorm, Lily reflected on the exercise. She realized that quiet observation and careful action could be just as powerful as loud commands or flashy skills. Strength did not always need to be shown. It could exist in the calm, steady guidance of others. She made a note in her notebook: True strength is often quiet, working behind the scenes, unseen until it is needed. Lily knew the academy had more challenges ahead, and each would test her patience, thinking, and leadership. But she felt ready. Her hidden potential had begun to reveal itself, not through brute force or loud commands, but through careful calculation, quiet courage, and strategic thinking. She had started to prove that the quiet girl in the back row could change outcomes in ways no one expected. A few days later, Lily's class faced the Academy's most difficult simulation yet, a citywide crisis scenario designed to test decision-making under pressure. The instructors had combined multiple elements, obstacles, hazards, and rival teams, into one complex challenge. Teams were expected to retrieve intelligence, neutralize threats, and evacuate civilians from a simulated danger zone. Lily's team for this exercise was challenging. Jace, a human boy, was strong but impatient. Mina, a small alien, was clever but anxious. And Taro, a Martian, was dependable but inflexible. They looked at Lily, expecting her to take command immediately. Lily simply studied the map, observed the environment, and waited for the exercise to start. The signal sounded. Teams scattered, alarms blared, and drones hovered overhead. Jace ran forward, rushing into danger. Mina hesitated at every turn, calculating risks and delaying the team. Taro moved methodically but slowly. Lily stayed calm, scanning their surroundings, noting patterns in enemy placement, and identifying safe paths. "Follow me," she said quietly. Her voice was calm, almost soft, but the team understood it was an order. They moved together, timing their steps with the moving obstacles and avoiding detection. Lily noticed an automated turret ahead that would block their path. She whispered, "Wait for the rotation, then roll behind the cover on my mark." The team followed, and the turret never spotted them. At one point, a rival team approached, intending to block their route. Lily quickly assessed the situation. "We'll use the alley behind the market building. It's narrow, but we can slip past if we move carefully." Her team hesitated but trusted her guidance. Moving quietly, they avoided confrontation and continued toward the objective. When they reached the civilian evacuation zone, the team found themselves trapped by a simulated fire and obstacles. Lily calmly instructed them to form a protective line and guided the civilians through an alternate exit. Her quiet leadership ensured no one panicked, and everyone moved safely to the designated extraction point. The instructors observed in silence. Lily had transformed a team that might have failed into a coordinated unit. Her quiet demeanor had allowed her teammates to focus, think clearly, and act effectively. The simulation ended with Lily's team achieving the highest score in both efficiency and safety. After the exercise, the instructors gathered the students. They praised the outcome, noting the importance of calm, precise leadership under pressure. Lily did not boast. She simply nodded, satisfied that her team had succeeded. She understood that being quiet did not mean being powerless. It meant observing, calculating, and acting at the right moment. Back in her dorm, Lily wrote in her notebook, "Quiet strength guides, protects, and achieves without seeking attention. True leadership does not always shout." She knew the academy would continue to test her, but she was ready. Her hidden potential had been revealed again, proving that even the quietest student could become the most effective leader when it mattered most. Weeks passed, and the academy prepared for its final major exercise of the semester. This simulation was designed to test everything the students had learned: teamwork, strategy, adaptability, and leadership. Unlike previous exercises, this one was unpredictable. Teams were placed in a large, complex environment filled with hazards, rival squads, and critical objectives. Success would require more than brute strength. It demanded smart thinking and precise coordination. Lily's new team consisted of Theo, a confident but impatient human; Arya, an alien girl with excellent reflexes but little patience for mistakes; and Braun, a Martian who was strong but slow to react. The group looked at Lily as they gathered at the starting point. She simply studied the map, noted positions of obstacles, and planned a path. The exercise began with alarms blaring, signaling simulated attacks. Theo rushed ahead carelessly, while Arya jumped at every shadow and noise. Braun tried to follow orders but was cumbersome. Lily stayed calm. She whispered, "Wait for the right moment. Watch their patterns. Move together." Her quiet voice guided them without force. As they approached the first objective, automated defenses activated. Lily calculated their timing and movements. She led her team through narrow passages, avoiding detection and using the environment to their advantage. She instructed Braun to block a corridor, while Arya created a distraction with a simple, clever maneuver. Theo followed Lily's lead, learning to pause and observe. Midway through the exercise, a rival team appeared, trying to intercept them. Lily calmly assessed the situation. "We will use the elevated walkway. Step carefully and time your moves. Don't rush." Her team followed precisely. By moving quietly and strategically, they bypassed the rival squad entirely. At the final objective, Lily noticed a complex security system protecting the goal. Instead of charging, she quietly examined its weaknesses, then directed her team to act with precision. Each team member played a role. Theo used his strength to create a small opening, Braun held position to secure the area, and Arya followed Lily's instructions to disable the security controls. Together, they retrieved the objective without any errors. The instructors watched in awe. Lily had once again demonstrated her ability to lead without commanding loudly, to guide without forcing, and to solve problems by staying calm under pressure. Her quiet strength transformed a team with individual weaknesses into a highly effective unit. After the exercise, her teammates finally understood her approach. Theo admitted that following her guidance had allowed him to focus and avoid mistakes. Arya and Braun expressed their admiration for her ability to think ahead and keep everyone safe. Lily smiled gently, simply happy that her team had succeeded. Back in her dorm, Lily reflected on the exercise. She wrote in her notebook, "Strength is not always shown by force. True strength is calm, thoughtful, and precise. Leadership is guiding others to succeed, even if they do not notice who is truly leading." Lily realized she had revealed more of her true strength to the academy and her peers. Her quiet demeanor masked her abilities, but when needed, she could act decisively, thinking several steps ahead. She had proven that even the quietest student could influence outcomes, protect others, and lead with intelligence and calm confidence. The semester was ending, and the academy prepared for its final evaluation, a comprehensive exercise that would decide grades, rankings, and recognition for the students. The scenario was unpredictable and complex, combining elements from every previous exercise. Teams would have to navigate hazards, handle rival squads, protect civilians, and achieve multiple objectives simultaneously. Lily's final team was carefully chosen by the instructors. Max, a bold and reckless human boy; Elin, an alien girl with quick reflexes but a tendency to panic; and Sorn, a strong Martian who was dependable but slow to adapt. They looked at Lily for guidance. She quietly studied the environment, noting patterns and potential challenges. Without saying much, the exercise began and chaos erupted. Alarms rang, drones hovered, and obstacles appeared. Max immediately rushed forward, ignoring the surroundings. Elin hesitated, frozen by fear, and Sorn moved steadily but slowly. Lily remained calm, observing each detail, her mind mapping the situation carefully. She whispered instructions to her team, guiding them through hazards and avoiding unnecessary risks. When a rival team appeared, she assessed their behavior and found a way to bypass them using timing and distraction. Her team followed her without resistance, trusting her quiet but confident direction. During a critical moment, civilians needed evacuation, but the path was blocked by automated defenses. Lily noticed a narrow, overlooked passage and led her team through it. She coordinated their movements so everyone remained safe. Max and Sorn began to understand how her quiet, thoughtful approach allowed them to succeed where reckless force would have failed. Finally, the last objective appeared, heavily guarded and surrounded by traps. Lily analyzed the situation quickly. "We will split our actions. Max creates a diversion, Sorn blocks incoming paths, And Elin follows my lead to retrieve the objective, she said softly. Each member executed their role flawlessly, trusting Lily's plan. The objective was secured, and the team reached the safe zone without any casualties. The instructors, watching from the observation tower, were stunned. Lily had transformed a potentially failing team into an efficient, coordinated unit. She had revealed her full abilities, not just in combat or strategy, but in leadership, calm decision-making, and the ability to inspire confidence quietly. When the exercise ended, her team celebrated, praising her guidance. Lily smiled, but she remained humble. She knew the true victory was not in the points earned, but in teaching her teammates to work together and trust in thoughtful planning over reckless action. Later, in the classroom, Lily sat in the back row, quietly taking notes as she always did. Her instructors discussed her performance with admiration. They knew she had not only excelled in the exercise but also demonstrated that quiet students could possess extraordinary strength, leadership, and wisdom. In her notebook, Lily wrote, "True strength is shown not by noise or display, but by calm action, clear thinking, and protecting others when it matters. Sometimes the quietest person can make the biggest difference." The academy had learned an important lesson. Appearances could be deceiving. Lily, the quiet girl who seemed unremarkable, had revealed her true strength. And in that revelation, she had changed how everyone viewed leadership, courage, and potential forever.